Now we're going to move on to another tool that also has a name. Actually, the rest of the methods we'll talk about in this lecture are all fairly well defined and understood. So let's talk about decomposition. I'm not talking about rotting vegetables or anything like that, fortunately. No, decomposition is the practice of breaking some complex down into smaller pieces that are easier to work with. You probably do this every day without thinking about it. Project managers do it all the time in the course of planning their projects. I did quite a lot of it myself in designing this course. Let's look at some examples. And the first one will be from the sports beverage tracking system. Remember that Solomon gave us a business requirement early in the project, and I'm showing that on the screen now. Actually, he didn't give us what we see here, but he probably said something to the effect of, I need a report that tracks beverage sales, or something similar. And then through a process of questions and answers, we fleshed it out into what you see. This requirement is complete enough to be a business requirement, but isn't sufficiently developed to turn over to technologists yet to be designed. We need to specify a lot more detail. If I were the BA, I would immediately start breaking the idea of the report into much more manageable pieces. I would probably come up with a mental hierarchy, something like this. Okay. And then I could use this as a mental checklist for further specification and requirement elicitation. And even some of these items can be broken down further like this. Note that this doesn't give us any useful information right off the bat, but it does give us a structure for asking further questions of Solomon and the other relevant stakeholders. Another example is just from my own professional life, and it actually has to do with this very lecture. I knew that we needed to cover analysis and diagramming and modeling because they are so key to the work that we do. They're truly one of the fundamentals of business analysis. But the topic is so big that I didn't really know where to get started. So I came up with a structure that looks kind of like this. And that's a first level decomposition, with transforming requirements being the big lecture, and then analysis, diagramming, and modeling being the pieces that comprise it. But each one of those second level topics is still pretty large, right? So I then fleshed it out a little bit further to get something like this. Already this is starting to seem more manageable. From there, I brainstormed different types of analysis and models, and then decomposed each one of those further. And after a lot of work, I came up with the lecture we're now engaged in. And I think this example here is a good one because it also illustrates why I needed to perform the decomposition. The aggregate topic was way too big and overwhelming for me to wrap my mind around. I needed to break it down into smaller pieces that were easy to manage. And that's really what decomposition is for and when you should use it.